Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is Weedman420 with the Weedman420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there, Mrs. Weedman?
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm great. We have Yuki sitting aside us here, tilting her head and watching us talk.
Round 2. 2 week. The second week she's in the studio with us. Let's hope she makes it through. Hey, everybody out there in the world. Hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Man, we are on week 5 of the Great British Baking Show.
Yeah.
Fantasy Draft League.
Yeah.
And Paulie took the lead.
He sure did.
Oh, he's got 11 points. I have 7. Mrs. Weedman has 6. And Shawty has 4. And it's been fun. And I got a big fat goose egg on the last episode. All my picks came out nothing. But I made a bet with Shawty, and she should have took it. The bet was this. I said to her, I picked Abdullah to go home. She picked him to be Star Baker. And I said, okay, if he goes home, I get all your points. If he becomes Star Baker, you get all my points. He didn't do anything. He still stayed, but he didn't become Star Baker or go home. But I thought it was a good bet, and she didn't take it. She wimped out. Would you have taken that bet?
I don't know.
It was a little side bet action. I wanted to see if Shawty, our producer, had any guts. Also, let's smoke.
Okay.
Before we talk about the next show we're watching. So we are smoking Stanky Haze. And I smoked this on the show with Big Earl. We recorded that show yesterday, which was Tuesday. And really nice high. Really good high. And it was gave me the stanky leg. So the Stanky Haze gave me the stanky leg.
Did you dance?
I was doing the stanky leg. Stanky leg. So, but great episode. We finally have, yes, Mrs. Weedman going to burn that 8 Decades bowl right up with some Stanky Haze. We had a really good recording yesterday. You want to know why Big Earl and I had a good recording? Because we used a new program. Now I feel comfortable enough now to start doing interviews. So this new program's great. It worked really well versus the other program we were using that would compress people's voices together and make it sound like shite. This was perfect, and it worked really, really well. Miss Mima, what do you think about that? You hadn't smoked that one yet. Oh, you smoked that last night after I recorded with Big Earl. I brought it up to you, a bowl. It was pretty good high. It tastes good. Mm-hmm. Did it make you do the stanky leg?
No. Should it?
No.
Now that that's on my radar, I might start doing some stanky leg.
Can I have some Stanky Haze?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. So go ahead and talk about the other show we're watching.
Oh, the saga continues of the Jeffrey Dahmer story. It's so morbid and disgusting and just so strange that you're watching this completely far-fetched story and it's real. It was a lot of people's reality it's just gross. So I think we've got 1 or 2 episodes left.
I hope. I don't know if I can take it anymore.
Right now it's not as bad because it's just the storyline has gone into his court case and things. So it's not as gruesome. But
you know what's fucked up? He had fans.
I know. People were writing him in jail, like women, saying that they were in love with him and they think he's great. He had pen pals.
Yes.
Stacks. He'd get
Sending
like
him
stacks of
money.
letters, money.
I mean,
Wacky.
I was appalled.
Okay,
by
but
that.
then what was really crazy, so that aired, like a couple months ago, people have been watching it. They're here in Illinois, in one of the suburbs of Chicago. Just last week, a landlord was Jeffrey Dahmered by her tenant.
Yes.
She tried to evict this tenant because this woman had become irrational and erratic and angry and hostile, and there were all these complaints. Anyway, that lady chopped up her landlord. Awful. Put her in the freezer. It's like, but it makes you think because
Crazy.
The show was just out. Has
Yep.
it just put a seed of thought or provoked people who maybe are on the cusp of wanting to do the same?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was
All I know is-
bizarre.
Didn't they say they couldn't still find the torso?
Of that woman.
Yeah.
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 They found her head, her arms, and her legs were in the freezer.
Yes. Yeah. No torso though.
Yeah, no
Did she eat
torso.
the torso?
I hope not.
Oof. Wow. Creepy.
I'm guessing she threw it away somewhere.
Creepy. I don't know. So, but we're almost done with that series, and I'm kind of glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Moving on.
It's almost done. So, but it explains a lot. You know, a lot of the documentary series, movie, whatever you want to call this, what we're watching, it explained a lot about a lot that I didn't know. You know, because it's been so long.
Yeah.
It was a Midwest thing. You know, I grew up with the 22 caliber killer. That was in my time in the Bronx when that guy was going around killing women, and it was the hottest summer of the year. It was the garbage strike.
Wasn't that the Summer of Sam?
Summer of Sam. 22 caliber killer. Summer of Sam. It was so I grew up with that.
Right.
So I think that took precedence over Dahmer because I didn't really know much about the story. I mean, we had heard about it, but it wasn't such a focus because it was such a Midwest focus versus an East Coast thing.
Right.
And we had Summer of Sam that took over everything. You know, people were scared, you know. So, but it just makes you think there's some fucked up people out there. I mean, that dude was eating people.
It's just awful.
Awful. I'm so confused. Like, why? Why? That strain is pretty good. All I know is it bakes me. Last night I was baked doing the show. Tonight I'm baked doing the show. It's great. So let's start the show. You ready, Mrs. Weed Man?
I'm ready. Let's go.
What is Croptober? The Weed Harvest Season 101. If you're new to cannabis or you've never heard the word before, Croptober. This is like the harvest in October. So although it may not garner the same recognition as beloved weed holidays like 420 or 710, the entire month of October marks one of the most joyous occasions for both cannabis cultivators and budget-conscious consumers. It all depends on who you're asking, because there's a lot of fucking weed, especially if you're growing outdoor and you got maybe 500-600 plants. That's a lot of fucking trimming and cutting and drying and a lot of fucking work, man. I love it because you're getting some of the best weed ever, freshest. You know, it's amazing. It's all coming together, the outdoor seasons. But to the people working on those farms, whew, oh man, that's a lot of work, and I appreciate all the hard work you all do to make sure everyone gets the finest quality cannabis on the planet. If you follow a handful of weed growers and cannabis connoisseurs on Twitter, you may notice the hashtag Croptober trending once autumn rolls around. A quick scroll through the feed, you'll yield an endless barrage of photos showcasing freshly harvested cannabis plants that would make any weed enthusiast salivate with delight. But what exactly is Croptober, and why is it so important to both growers and consumers? Throughout October and even spanning into the early weeks of November, cannabis crops across the northern hemisphere are ready for harvesting, while there are certain strains that tend to flower earlier in September or later in November. About 80 to 85% of cannabis varieties are ready to harvest during the traditional October cycle. After months of anticipation and providing tender loving care over their cannabis fields, outdoor cultivators will be spending most of the late autumn cutting, drying, curing, and trimming their fresh bounty of buds. Soon after, the amount of cannabis from outdoor grow makes it onto the retail and the delivery menus, where consumers eventually get to reap the benefits of Croptober too. Don't forget, just because you're harvesting in Croptober or in October doesn't mean you're getting the weed in October. It still takes some time. You have to cure it. You have to dry it. You have to cure it. You have to trim it again. Put it in bags, get it labeled. So what does Croptober mean for cultivators? The significance of Croptober is heavily contingent on the type of grow setup that is being utilized. For outdoor growers such as Jodari, this is a moment that they've all been waiting for since the previous harvest. This is the time of sun-grown cannabis to shine. The time of the year where outdoor plants are sprouting. Gorgeous trichome-laden buds that emit a tantalizing aroma. It is unbelievable celebratory time because everyone reaches fruition of the cycle. Yet, you get the full effect of what is it like to have a field of cannabis releasing aromatic esters and terpenes in the air, and people get to see the quality of the finished product. Even gets me. Croptober gets me excited. Can't you tell, Mrs. Weedman?
Yeah.
Croptober marks the September, October, November season when outdoor growers reap the rewards of their hard work, but indoor growers used to be frustrated during the fall harvest season. As outdoor grown crops became available, the market price of the pound of cannabis could fall as much as $500. I think even more nowadays. The main benefit of Croptober for outdoor cultivators is pretty clear. This is the season where it benefits their hard work and begins in the early summer, finally comes to fruition. Fields of cannabis plants are harvested and eventually sold to dispensaries and retailers, and you get to enjoy it at home or with your friends, family, loved ones, fellow stoners, burners, and potheads. However, it is also a moment of reckoning for outdoor cultivators as they must prepare for potential rainstorms that could cause mold or wreak havoc on the flowering plants. In order to avoid these harsh weather conditions, which could cause an outdoor cultivator to not make back production costs for the season, and other cultivators strategically to grow several strains that are ready to harvest during different times of the month. On the other hand, indoor growers have, at least historically speaking, had a much different perception of the harvesting period, and past Croptober was a frightening time for those running indoor operations, as the massive influx of outdoor grown cannabis could cause the market price of the pound to drop by $400 to $500 according to Jodary. Croptober was a scary for lots of producers in the past who were indoor cultivators because the outdoor came out of and would come in such a massive quantity that would change pricing, he explained. Now you have to be more balanced through the year. So I don't think Croptober is going to have the same incredible impact of pricing that it once did. What does Croptober mean for consumers? I know what it means to me. But although Croptober may seem to have the most direct impact of cultivators, consumers also benefit during the time as they can purchase high-grade cannabis flower at a lower price. After harvesting is completed during October, retailers will soon be stocked to the brim with fresh, sun-grown cannabis come November and December. People that are on a budget, which actually a majority of buyers, they look forward to this time because it allows them to get better price points on sales. The overall permitting cost of outdoor is less and the quantity of outdoor is more. So it creates a little bit of a better margin for the farmer, and that trickles down to the buyer. Excuse me, everyone. Let me take a sip of water. A little excitement. In order to find the top quality sun-grown flower, Jodary recommends that shoppers look at the harvesting date on the packaging and aim to purchase flower 2 months after that time. For example, if you find cannabis products that was harvested in mid-October, it will be at a peak quality of packed and purchased around mid-December. Although the price drop for Croptober isn't as significant as it once was, there's another reason for the weed lovers and kind of curious tourists to get excited about. During the October season, people can visit these farms and get up close and personal. Maybe get a little sniffy with fully grown cannabis accompanied by aromatic terpenes and esters that are emitted during the flowering cycle. Cannabis legalization spreads and the general public becomes more educated about the plant. Cultivators such as Jodary sees Croptober as a chance to give tourists a first-hand look at the magnificent plant that has hit the market. Croptober is not as impactful as it once was, but it's still culturally impactful. Jodary said, I think the familiarity with what's wonderful about outdoor October, Croptober, cannabis, because it starts to connect the normalcy of cannabis cultivation as farming, the same as the other crop being farmed. Got me excited. I like Croptober. I wish I lived in more of areas where you had more outdoor grow. But it's so nice to see. I've been seen live farms, and it makes me tingly.
Oh my!
Like I used to climb the rope in gym class.
Oh
Tingly.
jeez.
What month is it, Mrs. Weeman?
October.
What else in October?
Croptober.
What else in October?
Halloween.
What else in October?
It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah.
I knew I'd get it
Yes.
eventually.
So, what have we found out about medical cannabis for breast cancer and to Breast Cancer Awareness Month? This is for you.
Yes,
Lovely.
ladies, get your boobies checked, right? I think it's once a year. I think depending on how you have them checked or what your familial issues might be, family history, you might be able to go more than 1 year for
Speaking
your
of family,
mammogram. But
love and good vibes to a family member down in our family. Mm-hmm. We good vibes.
She is going through breast cancer currently and will be starting chemo in a couple weeks. So, and there's so many people that have it. So anyway, check your boobies. Do it once a year. Do it every other year. Whatever your doctor tells you to do, just do it. It's not a big deal. I hear ladies complain, oh, it hurts. It hurts for about 2 seconds. Get over it. It's better than being sick. So, what to know about medical cannabis for breast cancer? I'm just really to the point, aren't I? Just get over it. I'm really not cold and harsh. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, it's just kind of matter of fact, you know? It's like if you have the opportunity, if you have insurance and you have the capabilities to have modern medicine and medical care, then take advantage. Keep your boobies healthy. All right. Enough of my rant. What to know about medical cannabis for breast cancer. People with breast cancer may use cannabis to manage symptoms and counteract treatment side effects. Some studies suggest various benefits using cannabis for breast cancer. However, no conclusive scientific evidence has shown that it can treat cancer or manage symptoms. Using cannabis for breast cancer is relatively common, though. A 2021 study that surveyed 612 participants found that 42% with a breast cancer diagnosis in the last 5 years had tried it. People who use cannabis often report that it eases symptoms as well as side effects from chemotherapy and radiation treatments. And while some also hope that it would improve treatment outcomes, there's no evidence supporting this. Cannabis, like all drugs, poses some dangers, including the risk that it could interact with your chemotherapy drugs or increase the risk of cancer. Therefore, people considering using it for breast cancer should consult a doctor who's knowledgeable about medicinal cannabis. Anecdotally, people who use cannabis for breast cancer cite a number of benefits. However, research supporting these claims is mostly inconclusive. The previously mentioned 2021 study found of those who use cannabis, the most common reasons for doing so include relieving pain, insomnia, anxiety, stress, vomiting, and nausea. Additionally, 49% of respondents believed cannabis could help treat cancer. However, it is important to note there is no evidence that cannabis can help treat breast cancer. Additionally, while it's important that people discuss this with the doctor, just 39% of cannabis users with the disease did this. A small number of studies suggest cannabis or cannabidiol, CBD, may ease nausea, nerve pain, and some other cancer or chemotherapy symptoms. Some other studies on animals suggest that the drug may reduce the need for pain medication in people with cancer. Some evidence suggests that cannabis may help slow the growth of certain kinds of breast cancer. However, it's important to note that data supporting this potential benefit is inconclusive. For example, a 2020 paper reports that prior research suggests cannabinoids can slow or stop the growth of estrogen receptor-positive breast cancer. However, no clinical trials have explored the efficacy of cannabis or other cannabinoids to treat breast cancer in humans. So there's a difference, right? Treating the condition or treating the symptoms of the condition. So cannabis, what they're saying, can potentially help with the side effects of chemo, the drugs, or the side effects of cancer, but it is not going to replace treatment of cancer. You still need chemotherapy or radiation. You need medical intervention for that. But I know a lot of people that use cannabis in conjunction with their medical treatment plan.
Right.
A 2022 study investigated the theory that tetrahydrocannabinol, the substance that causes the high, may slow tumor growth. I've heard this for years. However, in a lab setting, not a human body, researchers found that cannabis ingredients could reduce the anti-cancer effects of tamoxifen, a common breast cancer drug. This means that cannabis may actually undermine treatments for the disease, emphasizing once again how important it is to consult with your doctor before using it. The FDA has approved 2 cannabis-based drugs to treat cancer symptoms, but not to cure the disease itself. They include nabilone, an oral drug that can treat vomiting and nausea, and dronabinol, an oral drug that also can treat vomiting and appetite loss. Researchers do not fully understand how cannabis works or why it may help relieve breast cancer symptoms, though the body's endocannabinoid system, which processes chemicals similar to some in cannabis, plays an important role in many functions. Chemicals in cannabis interact with the endocannabinoid system, potentially changing how the body responds to various conditions. Studies of cannabis and its main components suggest that it may slow or reverse the growth of certain cancer cells. How it does this depends on the type of cancer cell and the type of cannabis. For example, a 2019 study found that cannabis sativa L from South Africa was the most effective of the strains researched, testing for disrupting the MCF7 breast cancer cell growth. MCF7 breast cancer is a type of hormone-positive breast cancer. However, this was in a lab setting, not a human body. Most research on cannabis's potential role in slowing breast cancer growth has looked at hormone-positive cancers. There's no standard dose for medical cannabis. Instead, a person should consider starting with a very low dose, observing how their body responds, and gradually increasing as necessary. Remember, all drugs pose risks, even if they're natural. Most states in the U.S. allow cannabis for medical use, but whether a person can use the drug for cancer varies. In states with medical cannabis laws, regulations may control cannabis dosing, making it more consistent. Even so, access to cannabis is uneven, and factors such as health insurance and finances may determine whether a person can or will use this medical form of the drug. Cannabis for breast cancer has shown promising results in scientific studies. Many people with the disease already use it to alleviate their symptoms and treatment side effects. However, for most symptoms, it remains an experimental or an alternative treatment, not a medically proven one. It's also important to note that cannabis is not a viable or effective substitute for standard cancer therapies. So that will be an interesting bit of research that gets done when and if they ever do that.
Yeah.
Just on all cancer, there's basically cannabis is probably most popularly known as being effective for people on chemo, right?
Yeah, and also
for medical qualities.
Also, I've heard and read that it has been shown to lower tumors.
Yeah,
so I mean,
there's people that have gone off of their chemo treatments, continued with cannabis, and had a turnaround in their health.
Right.
There's a lot of stories like that.
Yes.
So there's a lot to be tested and figured out.
I'm pretty high.
Yeah, I think I am too.
I don't know if I should have took that second hit.
Yeah.
Last night, Big Earl did all the talking. I just did the filler, so I got to get as high as I wanted. Tonight, I have to really.
You got to talk.
I have to do the show.
Come back to me, Mr. Weedman. Come back.
This is an article that someone reached out. Not really an article, but someone asked us to do some research about cannabis and testosterone. So I did some research on that. I found a really good article, and I've done some reading, more and more reading too. Probably 5 to 10 different articles between glancing over, taking some notes, but also correlated it to metabolism also. So Mrs. Weeman will take that one on. So does weed lower testosterone? There's popular narrative going around that anti-cannabis lobby that increasing legal access to cannabis, medical or otherwise, will lead to male fertility crisis with plummeting testosterone, overly chilled out, and rather directionless spermatoza. That's not true. However, if we turn to the available human data, any mass media cannabis-induced man-boob hysteria appears to be largely unfounded and blamed upon... I forgot his name. What's the actor's name? Man. He's in a lot of good movies, too. Anyway, who cares? I'll remember. Instead of the evidence suggests that regularly consuming cannabis can impact testosterone levels. Man, I was really baked there for a second. Whew.
Just now?
That's why I can't remember the fucking actor's name. It was part of my line. Man, he was the one like everyone, because he looks at him like a man's body, a dad bod. Man,
I don't know.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yes, I knew I'd fucking get it. Leonardo DiCaprio. Man boobs like made the dad bod look cool now. So some studies have suggested that, man, I can't believe I almost forgot that name. Some studies have suggested that regular cannabis use decreases testosterone, and some others actually correlated cannabis use with increased testosterone levels. The significance of the connection between cannabis and testosterone levels remains to be fully understood. CBD oil and testosterone. Before we take a deep dive into most of what we know about cannabis and testosterone, it is important to be clear we will be mostly talking about THC. As of right now, very little research has been conducted on CBD oil and testosterone. Through the 2020 review studies from PubMed, database suggested it is possible and conclude that CBD has a negative effect on reproductive system of males. The authors were very clear. More research is required. More research to see whether there's less favorable findings are applicable in humans and at what dosage. What is testosterone? I think we all know it. The T, it's the male hormone predominantly made into the testicles. So if you took any kind of science class, you probably learned about testosterone. So males in their peak in their 20s, testosterone levels are at their peak and the highest. The use of illicit drugs is often added to the list of contributing factors, but interestingly, commonly prescribed pain medications such as prescription opioids, ibuprofen, can also prematurely reduce testosterone levels in young men. Also, don't forget pesticides. Huge bad for male testosterone, and there's pesticides in a lot of shit we eat. So we would generally think testosterone is a male hormone. It's also found in women. And conversely, estrogen can, a form of female hormone estrogen, also plays an important role in the male sexual health. While present, there is a present in differing amounts between men and women, and indeed, it's these gender differences in our hormones that experts think to contribute to the differences in how men and women experience cannabis. Cannabis, testosterone, and the endocannabinoid system. The average cannabis consumer probably doesn't spend too much time considering biology behind the high sensation they experience when enjoying cannabis. In fact, in the 1990s, when researchers discovered the endocannabinoid system, a vast network of special receptors in our brains and bodies activated by cannabis-like chemicals, that even the scientific community began to understand cannabis intoxicating effects. They realized that THC fits into these receptors like a key opening a lock, which turns and creates the cascades of effects throughout the body. The endocannabinoid system itself is understood to be a homeostatic regulator, constantly working to maintain balance through the physiological system. Not only can endocannabinoid receptors be found in the male reproductive system, such as testes, prostate, vas deferens, and spermatoza, but other ECS's components, such as the endocannabinoid anamide, an enzyme responsible for its remember this word, it gets me. Degradation. Thank you. Fatty acids, fatty acid amide hydrolase, FAAH, have been located in the testicular tissue. The fact that they dig cells from the testosterone is released also contains CB1 endocannabinoid receptors have led researchers to conclude that the ECS plays an important role in maintaining healthy levels of testosterone production. Interestingly, in 2001 study of mice, anandamide, which acts in a similar way to THC by binding the CB receptors, was found to suppress testosterone levels, perhaps fueling the theory that THC must do the same. THC and testosterone. The evidence. While a number of preclinical studies on animals have suggested that THC administration reduces testosterone levels, research on humans have far less conclusive and fails to prove that cannabis reduces testosterone. Fails to prove. In 2018, a study designed to estimate the effect of cannabis consumption on U.S. males. 1,577 men were asked about their frequency of cannabis use and cross-matched with testosterone serum levels. No difference was detected in testosterone levels the men who had consumed cannabis at some point in their life and those who had never tried it. However, testosterone serum levels were higher. in men who had recently consumed cannabis, indicating that any change related to how recently cannabis was consumed and not duration or frequency. However, in Denmark, a study of 1,215 young men found rather contradictory results of cannabis and men's reproductive health. One that had some sperm concentration and sperm count were almost 30% lower in those using cannabis once a week, while rather counterintuitively, testosterone levels were higher and within the same range as cigarette smokers. Tobacco smoking has been found to increase testosterone levels. Further investigation is required to examine the effects of cannabis smoking with tobacco has on testosterone levels compared to other consumption methods. So with that, instead of having 1 trillion sperms swimming, you only got like 700,000. 700 million. So you got a little bit of a strong. They got to fight a little bit more.
Just takes one.
This takes one. Could cannabis exposure in pregnancy affect testosterone in the fetus? One of the areas guaranteed to generate debate is whether cannabis is safe to consume during pregnancy. While the jury is still out and the evidence is lacking, one study sought to examine whether giving THC in mice mothers to be on day 12 of the gestation would affect testosterone levels in the male offspring. In a study of at least both testosterone and luteinizing hormone levels were significantly reduced, while CBD administered on the same day caused suboptimal testicular weight. For the ethical reason, it is unlikely the study will be replicated in humans, but it does at least raise awareness that the mother ingests during pregnancy, whether it be cannabis or coffee, can have a direct impact on her baby. Can using cannabis affect your sex drive? Ms. Weeman shaking her head. Don't use me as a study. The fact that recent cannabis use appears to increase testosterone levels seems to turn on its head the theory that cannabis dampens the man's libido. Again, numerous animal studies on everything from rodents to primates have suggested that THC at least is a bit of a passion killer. However, when it comes to humans, once again, nothing has been conclusively provided. A few studies have linked cannabis with the use of premature ejaculation, and when 8,650 Australian men were screened for the use of cannabis and its sexual effects, daily use was correlated with sexual and erectile underperformance. Women did not suffer from the same effects from the cannabis use and may actually be more likely to achieve orgasm if they use cannabis. Correlation does not imply causation. When it comes to cannabis and testosterone, it would appear that it may be yet another case of correlation not implying causation. Yes, overall, testosterone levels may be plummeting in the West. Male infertility may be indeed on the rise, but increased levels of cannabis consumption are probably not to blame. And certainly it is not primary reason. Instead, myriad factors of the overuse of opioids, pesticides, use on crops, and increasing levels of obesity are all likely to play a part. I'm going to tell you something. I've been smoking cannabis since I was 13 years old, and I have a very high testosterone. I was able to have 2 children, probably could have had a lot more because Mrs. Weeman's fertile myrtle over there. So I'm just saying that it's the person. I don't blame it on cannabis if they're saying this, and I think it's part of that whole drug, war against drugs and the whole 1937 Marijuana Tax Act and just telling people just false information. So now Mrs. Weeman's going to tell you what else does weed speed up? Your metabolism.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Especially us in our middle age, right? Metabolism becomes an issue. Well, a recent study suggested that cannabis may speed up your metabolism, which could lead to weight loss in the long run. Does that mean that weed helps you lose weight? Or is this just another baseless claim? Let's take a look at the research on cannabis and metabolism to find out if there's any truth to this claim. Much of the discussion surrounding cannabis for weight loss was prompted by a 2011 review of 2 national surveys conducted from 2001 to 2003. According to the review, obesity rates are higher among people who have not used cannabis compared to those who use cannabis 3 or more times per week. Similarly, a 2010 study published in the American Journal of Drug and Alcohol Abuse examined the association between cannabis use and obesity in young people and came to similar conclusions. There is some anecdotal evidence that cannabis may help lower obesity rates and improve body mass index, or BMI, by lowering alcohol consumption, increasing levels of physical activity in some people, helping resolve sleep issues, influencing the cortisol stress response, and relieving aches and pains that may impede activity. In addition, these findings were further supported according to a 2018 review in the peer-reviewed journal Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research, which examined the relationship between cannabis use and body mass index. It found that cannabis aficionados generally have lower BMIs and obesity rates despite consuming more calories, which suggests some effects on metabolism. In short, yes, cannabis does speed up your metabolism. In theory, smoking weed could make you lose weight, although there are many factors involved in weight loss or gain. So how does THC boost your metabolism? In a 1978 study, pioneering research explored the link between THC and metabolism. Researchers found that weed users increased their metabolic rate as soon as they smoked cannabis, with metabolic rate peaking 15 minutes after ingestion. The researchers found that THC induced immediate stimulatory effects in metabolism, ventilation, and respiratory response to carbon dioxide. At least some of these effects were mediated by the beta sympathetic nervous system. THC influences the gut biome, which can also affect weight gain or loss. For example, a bacteria group called firmicutes is associated with obesity, but another called Bacteroidetes is not. In an animal study conducted by University of Calgary in Canada, overweight mice with high calorie intake were administered THC. This led to normalization of their gut bacteria, which contributed to their weight loss. Jessica Gerlach, a certified personal trainer, shed over 100 pounds by smoking weed and found that sativa-type strains gave her the most energy and focus. According to Jessica, cannabis helped her moderate her eating, her post-workout recovery, and boosted performance in strenuous sports. In 2013, researchers in the American Journal of Medicine found that weed consumers were better able to metabolize carbohydrates than non-consumers, leading to more successful weight loss outcomes. If you're already familiar with cannabinoids such as THC and CBD, it may be worth getting to know THCV, which has shown promise for controlling appetite. THCV can be found in Girl Scout cookies, not the food, the strain, Durban poison, and THCV capsules or sublingual tabs. While some strains of weed may make you feel more relaxed, mellow, and chill, there is currently no evidence that support the claim that it slows metabolism in certain people. So if you're looking to slow down your active metabolism, you might want to steer clear of high THC cannabis. If you're looking to potentially speed up your metabolism and drop a few pounds in the process, cannabis may be a good option for you. With legalization on the rise, it's worth considering how weed could fit into your wellness plan.
Hell yeah. Go weed.
Mm-hmm. I eat like crazy when I smoke. But we talk about this all the time. I feel like it's more of like a learned behavior than it is actually a response to smoking cannabis. Yeah. Because Mr. Weedman doesn't have munchies at all.
A snacker.
I'm a snacker.
It didn't matter whether you were high or not.
I know. But then when I'm high, I'm like, ooh, I need snacks.
But seriously.
Give me more snacks.
But you were always a snacker.
I know.
You snack throughout the whole day.
I'm a grazer.
Yeah, you graze, but you snack. You like your this bite here, 2 or 3 bites. You're not like you're eating a whole bag of something.
Yeah, by the end of the day.
No. I watch you. No, maybe by the end of the week you eat a whole bag of or takes you sometimes 2 weeks to eat a bag of candy. You're just picking like a handful here and a couple.
Sure.
I see it.
Okay.
So, all right. So I got some information here. A really good friend of mine sent me something from the Fed agent. And White House announces federal cannabis reform initiatives, next steps in scheduling. So I'm only going to read the steps. So the FDA will conduct assessments considering 8 efforts. its actual or relative potential for abuse, scientific evidence of the pharmacological effects, if known, the state of the current scientific knowledge regarding the drug or other substances, its history and current pattern of abuse, the scope, duration, and significance of abuse, what, if any, risks there are to the public health, its psychic or psychological dependent liability, and whether the substance is an immediate precursor of the substance already controlled. The FDA will make recommendations to the Drug Enforcement Administration following the review. At present, cannabis is classified as Schedule 1, which the DEA has defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and high potential for abuse. However, after considering the FDA's scientific and medical analysis, the DEA will determine if cannabis should be a decontrolled removed from the CSA entirely or rescheduled to Schedule 2 or Schedule 3. How about take it off all of the scheduling? All of it. Just it shouldn't even be scheduled. It's a plant. In a statement following the president's announcement, Justice Director, Public Affairs, Anthony DiColi, stated the department would expeditiously administer the president's proclamation to restore political, civil, and other rights to those convicted of that offense. The Law Enforcement Action Partnership, LEAP, a nonprofit partisan group, law enforcement and criminal justice professionals who support evidence based on public safety policies, applauded the Biden administration's actions, noting that pardon would have lasting impacts on thousands. So that's just some of the stuff that they have to do. This came from the Fed agent. So, and just forget, I made a mistake. Those 6,500 people who is not a part of that 40,000. So, senior administrative officials stated in a briefing session that citizens and lawful permanent residents will be eligible for pardons through a process to be developed by the Justice Department. Officials reported that more than 6,500 people were convicted of simple possession under federal law between 1992 and 2021, and thousands through the District of Columbia. Residents charged with simple cannabis possessions are also eligible for pardon under federal law. So that 6,500 is not those 40,000 are not a part of this, unfortunately, which sucks. So, more news. Everything Biden pardons for cannabis convictions does and don't do's. It needs to be addressed. I mean, this is a pretty big article. It's just saying in this article is that if they don't make this list soon of what is and what isn't, the do's and don'ts, nothing's ever going to come about it. And the folks who benefit the least from Biden's order are those convicted of pot possessions at the state level, where a staggering 98% of cannabis convictions happen. In 2019 alone, according to Last Prisoner Project, about 546,000 folks were arrested for pot-related crimes, and roughly 22,000 people are serving time for cannabis-tied crimes in the state and local jails right now. Though it could be more because of a criminal justice system which compromises thousands of local departments, does an abysmal job of collecting and releasing the sort of data. So Biden doesn't have the power to issue pardons at the state level, though he did implore governors to follow this lead. And some are not. Actually, I shouldn't say some. A lot aren't following Biden's lead. So that is another article. Here's another one. Biden tells young voters, "I'm keeping my promise on cannabis" in a speech at pre-midterm rally. President Joe Biden is rallying young people ahead of next month's election, in part by highlighting the recent move to pardon Americans who committed federal cannabis possession offenses. But the White House also said it doesn't have any update to share on the timeline for the next steps of the president's actions. Of course not. Reeling you in. Got that really good lore, baby. Got a cannabis leaf and a bud on the end of it. He's just luring us all in, baby. Just like they did when their speeches when they got elected. So I don't buy it. So not anymore. Nearly 1,000 cannabis entrepreneurs are competing for New York's first 150 dispensary licenses. It's not a lot. Oh, man. Something crazy, man. This is all over everywhere today. Every fucking buddy's talking about this one. Weed is coming to Circle K gas stations in the U.S. next year and 10 stores in Florida. And they partnered with GTI, and this can help cannabis go mainstream. I have always said it's good. Just wait till you're all buying gas station weed. I've said it.
But how are they when it has to be sold through a dispensary? How are they going to do it from a gas station?
Because they'll get a license.
Special license.
Yeah, they'll probably have a booth.
Right.
Well, you'll have to go right into that You know?
Jeez.
Yeah, they'll build a separate little building
Yeah.
next to it. You know, so I mean, it's all over everywhere. I mean, this is a big fucking deal. I mean, like really big. I mean, to the point where everybody's talking about it, and this is I've been saying this for a long time. So I mean, you got to think this is starting with 10. 10. Think about how many Circle K's are in Florida. Think about how many Circle K's are in legal states. Think about what kind of weed you're going to get. You get gas station burritos. You're going to get gas station weed. I'm not saying Green Thumb Industries, GTI, is going to give you gas station burritos or gas station weed. I'm saying, though, and eventually...
It'll be poor quality.
Oh, 100%. Because they're not going to pay top dollar for the high-quality weed.
I don't know. We'll see.
So... next year, get your fucking Circle K special.
Two hot dogs and a joint.
It's all over the fucking
$10.99.
Don't forget that fucking burrito. Oh my gosh. It's just fucking I can't. I mean, it's not that I can't believe it. I just jeez. CBD and girls.
I'll just take over
You'll
here.
take over this
I'll just
one.
take over here.
Thank you.
I got the lady topics today.
Yeah.
So here's one that's interesting. Guys, if you don't want to hear about it, then go smoke a joint for a minute. Come back in about 3 minutes. I'll be done. CBD tampons. Yep. You heard it here, right here on the Weedman 420 Chronicles. CBD tampons. All right, ladies. This article says that they ease our period pains. Let's be real. No one enjoys having their period. Even when we want it to come, the joy of it arriving is incredibly short-lived as cramps take hold. Even though 9 out of 10 people who menstruate experience menstrual cramps, there's very little research on what causes them, go figure, let alone how to treat them. I've tried everything to soothe the cramps that destroy my abdomen every single month, but hot water bottles, baths, and enough painkillers to take down an elephant have had little effect over the years. So when I heard about CBD-infused tampons from a friend who swore by their cramp-annihilating properties, I had to try them out for myself. Day, a health research and development company committed to raising the standards in gynecological health, released the UK's first clinically validated CBD tampons in 2020 after almost 3 years of research. So it's safe to say that its founder, Valentina Milanova, and her team know what they're doing. The majority of women and AFAB-assigned female at birth individuals struggle with maintaining ownership over their reproductive health and frequently report feeling disempowered when seeking medical help or attention, Valentina tells Metro Co. UK. I want to be an agent for change and raise the standards of care in gynecological health. According to Day, their tampons engage with your endocannabinoid system, which is responsible for modulating your body's response to pain, sleep, and inflammation. The endocannabinoid system has a whole lot of receptors in the vagina. In fact, it has the second highest concentration of cannabinoid receptors in the human body, bar the brain, making it an ideal place to apply a CBD compound. Day's CBD tampons have 100 milligrams of high-potency, 30% full-spectrum CBD. But before you get excited that they might give you an added buzz, just know that they're made with 0% THC. Day also works closely with a team of doctors and experts to carry out research surrounding the effects of using CBD vaginally. Armed with a selection of Day's CBD and naked tampons, it was time to see if they really did what they said they do on their very aesthetically pleasing tin. First things first, normally, I really, really do not like using tampons. I find them super uncomfortable, regardless of size, and that they can make me feel achy when I'm already battling period cramps, and it's not something else I want to add to my plate. They also seriously irritate my body, so Day was up for a serious challenge in making me a regular tampon convert, let alone a CBD-infused one. Even before trying Days CBD tampons, there was a lot I wasn't pleased about. I'm a sucker for nice aesthetics, and a hemp bag, and the hemp bag my tampons came in was stunning, as was the travel tin I was sent to keep a handful of tampons safe from the junk that floats around in my tote bag when I'm on the move. They are also 100% organic, plastic-free, and come with water-soluble wrappers, sugarcane applicators, and recyclable packaging. So even if my vagina was to hate them, at least I know the planet won't. Fortunately, hang on, guys, I'm almost done. Fortunately, I had my mind blown within 20 minutes of using one of Day's regular flow CBD tampons. They really did make a massive difference in my discomfort. It was as though my period pains just vanished into the abyss, and wearing the tampon itself was almost unnoticeable with zero irritation. A first for me. To check that I wasn't feeling a placebo effect, I switched to the Naked Day tampon when it was time to change, to see if I could feel a difference. And yep, within an hour of switching over, my cramps were back. It's worth noting, too, that the Naked tampons were still comfy. They just didn't have the added benefit of CBD. So consider me a full-fledged CBD tampon convert, and I'm planning on stocking up. You can purchase the Day tampons as a one-off or on a subscription basis. The longer your subscription, the cheaper the cost. So, and that is spelled D-A-Y-E. So I believe you can find them online. Pretty cool.
Gave him a free plug.
I know. I didn't realize that became quite the advertisement there. But the bigger point is that it was a CBD tampon, and that you just talked about with testosterone.
Yep.
And they talked about like sexual arousal,
yep,
and the effects of THC diminishing your sexual capabilities as a man. Well, that's not true. And
Thank you. Thanks, Ms.
and what they
man.
pointed out here is that the vagina has a shit ton of endocannabinoid system receptors.
Yeah.
So get that CBD in there. It fixes things.
It does.
It's all good. Moving on.
We talked about boobies. We talked about
Boobies,
vaginas.
vaginas,
Male testosterone.
testosterone.
Metabolism.
Dang.
This is a
It's like we're doctors or something. Not quite. Not at all.
Maybe that company will make you the face of the tampon. You hold a tampon in the air.
Great.
Going, Mrs. Weeman with a big smile.
Then I'll know
Hey.
I've really arrived. It'll just be me, and I'm 50. I don't even have a period. But I'm doing oh my God, just stop. Moving on.
To international news, Dominican Republic Prime Minister Roosevelt Shikari said he expects the country to pass medical cannabis legislation next year. A spokesperson for Bermuda's UK-appointed governor said she is open to working with officials on more incremental cannabis reform and don't go as far as a full legalization measures she blocked from taking effect. New Zealand crime data shows in 2019 law giving police discretion in drug cases has not sharply reduced cannabis prosecutions. Uganda, the largest cannabis development site in the world, soon to function in Uganda. Here's some of the details. Eden Pharma Limited, established in 2017, announced Friday that it has recently acquired a 5,000-acre site in Uganda. 5,000-acre. Wow. The land was obtained via a joint venture and will be used for cannabis research and development. There was something else really cool about this. The company says it wants to employ 100% Ugandan people within 3 years after the completion of the Eden Ugandan project. That's awesome. The community will include infrastructure such as research labs, pharmacies, and an airport. Holy shit. It is also projected that the venture will increase the GDP of Uganda by 3%. There's a documentary showcasing the land in Uganda entitled The Garden of Africa. It is currently in production. Oh, I'll have to watch that. So that sounds awesome. Good for Uganda. Actually, we're pretty popular in Uganda. Weird.
Go figure.
Yeah, I know. I think they're in like our top 10 country now. It's awesome. Thank you. Maybe I get to go to that facility one day and smoke some fucking great weed and fly in a fucking jet into Uganda. That'd be amazing. We love our pets. Yuki's been great, and we didn't even give her any CBD. But can you give pets CBD? But here's the other thing, too. Our niece, who works at a vet, we were just talking about this the other day about giving her dog CBD. There's not enough research yet. She's still unsure. She's heard good stuff, bad stuff, but then the part about THC, we had a great conversation. I don't want to steal your thunder on the THC part of this and other cannabinoids. So what about it? Can you give THC and other cannabinoids to your dog or your pets?
Let's find out. With all of the widespread and sometimes conflicting medical news on the use of cannabis for pets, having a trustworthy source of information is important. Thankfully, we have one now. A website that doubles as an educational portal was launched by the Veterinarian Cannabis Society, or VCS, for veterinarians, as well as pet owners and cannabis businesses. This follows years of the exploding popularity of cannabinoid use for pets, and it's shown promise in helping treat many ailments naturally, from cancer and anxiety to arthritis and old age. But despite this, there are still many questionable claims, uses, and products out there. This is especially challenging in certain states where veterinarians aren't even allowed to legally discuss the use of CBD with pet owners. Veterinarians today struggle to discuss cannabis with pet parents as they either lack the knowledge or want to avoid potential legal implications, explains Dr. Trina Haza, VCS president and co-founder. No veterinarian should have to risk their license or livelihood simply because they are trying to do what is right for their patient. In addition, VCS says that 68% of veterinarians won't share advice on cannabis use with pet owners simply because they don't have knowledge to do so. That's also why the VCS was launched in the first place, to bridge the education gap when it comes to the correct use of cannabis for sick animals. Members of the VCS will now be able to enjoy access to general information on its use while taking advantage of many educational resources available, including reviewed articles, podcasts, a research library, presentations, and videos. What we are striving for is an educated and empowered global veterinarian medical cannabis community. That's a big one, says Dr. Haza, whose interest in medical cannabis grew when she was researching integrative approaches for cancer-ridden pets. The VCS is also working with organizations, parties, and certain states so that reasonable legislation for the veterinarian use of medical cannabis can take place. They are also dedicated to establishing a standard for the quality of products. It's only normal to want the best for our pets, dogs, and cats, and the use of cannabidiol, why doesn't that doesn't roll off my tongue tonight? Cannabidiol has shown to be more promising. In fact, CBD could very well be the treatment that we've all been looking for to extend the lives of our pets and add life to their years. Dogs actually have a higher concentration of CB1 cannabinoid receptors in their brains than humans, said Steve Sakala, co-founder of Mana Artisan Botanics. This makes dogs more receptive to the benefits of CBD. In general, older pets, just like older humans, seem to have a bit more noticeable outcome from using CBD. The higher energy level in older pets when administering CBD is quite pronounced, he explains. Animals are sensitive to the presence of tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, the psychoactive compound in cannabis plants. Its dangers are prevalent. If you ask any of our emergency room veterinarians, they would all say that the number of cannabis-intoxicated dogs has increased by leaps and bounds since legalization of medical and then recreational cannabis for humans. UC Davis professor of vet sciences Carl Jandry told the Los Angeles Times, dogs getting cannabis poisoning from humans accidentally leaving edibles laying around in their home or picking them up from the street, parks, or beaches in recreational states is becoming increasingly common. However, many people are unaware of the impact that THC can have on pets, which is why we sorely need an educational resource such as what the VCS has launched. Nevada is on the forefront of the industry. In June, they became the first state that authorized vets to recommend and give CBD thanks to a new law that protects veterinarian practitioners from any legal action if they decide to treat their patients with CBD. The law took effect October 1st. Steve Yeager, an assembly member who sponsored the bill, said that it clarified vet rules around the use of CBD. Additionally, they can also talk to pet owners about it and consult with them about its use, dosage, and even administer the medication to pets directly. They can do all of that without having to worry about being disciplined by their board, which was really the main concern behind the bill, says Yeager. Meanwhile, in Michigan and California, vets are only allowed to consult regarding cannabis use, but aren't allowed to administer them to their pets. With the widespread use of cannabis in more than 40 states medically and 20 states recreationally, there are still no guidelines on the appropriate use of CBD for pets, even with a flourishing market full of pet products. We expect the pet cannabis industry to continue booming with the hopes that more vets and pet owners will have the knowledge and guidance that they need in order to safely and confidently medicate their cats and dogs.
Hell yeah. Yuki doesn't need it right now.
No?
No, I don't think so. She's not afraid of fireworks. I know a lot of people give CBD to their dogs in fireworks season, and she's fucking legit. I mean, maybe I'll throw a joint in her mouth one day with some CD. You see her smoking it, but
probably more like a dog bone that has CBD in
now
it.
Well, we got bigger.
I know. He gave us a whole kit
Yep.
to make treats.
Yeah, so we're gonna make some treats with that. So something crazy. We've been following this brand for a long time, and Charlotte's Web. We've told the story about Charlotte Figge and because of Charlotte's Web, it's named after her. But this is crazy. It's now Major League Baseball's first official cannabis brand. It's pretty big. CBD is in the big leagues now. On Wednesday, Major League Baseball and Colorado-based Charlotte's Web Holdings announced an exclusive multi-year partnership, marking the first time a CBD company signed a sponsorship deal with major professional sports leagues. In other words, Charlotte's Web is now an MLB's official cannabis brand. That's fucking... I know it's not THC brand. I mean, one day it'll happen. But that's pretty big. But don't forget, Major League Baseball halted mandatory cannabis drug testing back in 2006, making it the leader in professional sports when it comes to much-needed cannabis access for players. That's awesome. So I didn't know it was that long ago they did that. I thought it seemed like it was just yesterday. So that's good stuff. So Charlotte's Web, CBD tinctures, and worldwide attention in 2013 after being featured in the CNN documentary Weed. The brand is named after Charlotte Figge, a young cannabis patient who was born with Dravet syndrome, a rare debilitating childhood seizure disorder. Charlotte's Web's founders, the Stanley brothers, treated her with CBD oil, which is accredited for significantly improving her quality of life. Don't forget, Figge passed away from complications related to viral infections in 2020. She was 13 years old. So pretty good for cannabis. It's a start. You'll be seeing it on billboards and baseball stadiums. I mean, they partnered with them. I mean, multi-year deal. I think some percentage of Charlotte's Web goes to now Major League Baseball.
That's huge.
It's a big deal. Mm-hmm. It's gonna blow
How will
them
they?
up.
But because there's always a small percentage of THC, and you can still test positive for THC.
0.3%.
I know, but a positive THC test is a positive.
Yeah, but
it doesn't tell you how much.
In 2006, they don't test for it anymore.
They don't test for cannabis.
No, 2006. So
what, that long ago? And
I thought
it
it seemed like yesterday. Like I just said, yeah.
They can literally smoke weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't test
or they
for
just don't
THC
test,
anymore.
Right?
So
wow.
Which is great for the players because
that's a long time.
Well, they
ago.
get off opioids, they get off fucking all that shit that they take for pain relief. I think it's great for Charlotte's Web. I think it's great for cannabis. It's going to bring attention to every person who follows baseball, who watches baseball, who goes to games. It's going to bring, especially the story about Charlotte's Web too. It's going to bring national recognition to cannabis and to CBD. It's pretty good, even though CBD has been on a downslide lately. But I think this is going to help big time. I mean, people love baseball, and a lot of brands have made a lot of money because of MLB. So good for them. This is a great start. So national billboards around every baseball stadium. Cool. What else, Mrs. Wee Man? Got anything else to say? I'm pretty baked.
Make a pumpkin bong. Join us. It's going to be so much fun. We are looking forward to seeing everybody's results. It's fun to smoke out of them. It takes 5 minutes. You don't have to be super elaborate. Just have fun with it.
We got another one coming Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to decorate another one.
Well, another one. This one's going to be fun.
Don't smoke them once they get moldy. So keep an eye on the insides.
Yeah, throw it away.
Yeah.
So, but I would. We added a little special gift.
Yeah, today we put a little Instagram, social media post out. Earl 217, who is on the Grow Hour with Mr. Weedman, sent us some seeds. And so there's 2 different strains. There's about 12 seeds in each. They're regs, meaning they're not guaranteed feminized seeds.
You might get some male.
You'll get some plants out of them for sure.
Absolutely.
They're good solid
there's 24
seeds.
seeds, 2 different strains.
You're going to get some, and you'll get some great bud. So they're rare seeds, and that is going to be our top pick. Mr. Weedman and I will pick our favorite pumpkin, and that winner will get the seed. So join us. There's some good prizes from 8 decades, and we've got the seeds. And why not just make a pumpkin bong and have fun with it?
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah,
that's where the idea came from to do this contest, and you're getting some cool shit.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling we haven't gotten any responses yet because I think it's only the 19th of the
soon.
month, and a lot of people didn't want to waste their pumpkins right away.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because once you cut them, you know, then they get the one we did got moldy right away. Well, it got soft, so we had to throw that one out. Because it was still warm outside when we did that one. This one's lasting a little bit longer. The spider pumpkin bong is the shit. That was pretty fun. It was so neat looking. But this next one, get ready. It's
going to be fun.
This is going to be a good one. We'll see how good Mr. Weedman can smoke this one. Hey, everybody. Don't forget, check out 8decades.com. Mr. and Mrs. Weedman's, all of our handles are on there. Come check out our site. The trays are coming. They're almost here. If you all know about it, we're super stoked. This is 2 years in the making. Whew, they're on their way. Wow. And we're super stoked about that. So check out 8decades.com for everything about Mr. and Mrs. Weedman. Everybody out in the world, we love you. Peace be with you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff puff pass.